Hey, everybody, it's Kyle,
And it's Kristina.
and this is the CP Chronicles, where we talk all things our lives cerebral palsy. How have
Well,
you been, guys?
it's been a while, but we're back.
Surprise! It kind of just came together really quickly within the last couple of weeks that it's like, okay, it's time to come back.
Yeah,
But
it's funny how that goes. Life just got busy for both of us, and we felt like we needed to step away because our heart wasn't in it at the moment. But we're excited to be back. We don't have a set schedule yet. I mean, we know we're working with Saturdays at 9:30 Central Standard Time, but other than that, we're just gonna kind of pick Saturdays here and there, and you guys will see a flyer so that you know when our next episode is gonna be.
yeah, we'll make sure you have plenty advanced notice. But that's part of the reason we left in the beginning. At least for me, I kind of got burnt out a little bit just with the trying to fit my life around the show instead of fitting the show around my life. So for a minute there, I got burnt out, and Christina was like, "Yes, we can take a break." And it was only supposed to be a short little break.
Hmm.
And then it wasn't because life kind of hit me in the face, and I felt like I couldn't come back and be honest with you about what was going on because what was going on wasn't really my story to tell. Um, I was just kind of a player in the game, so to speak. So I just couldn't come back. And then the longer we went, the more it was like, I'm just not ready to come back. And so it was almost 2 years.
Yeah, but we're ready now, and we're excited to give you guys an update on what's been going on. I've got to highlight some comments here. Aaron says, "Welcome back, thank you."
Thank
And
you,
oh, my
Aaron.
mom says hi from Dakota, my little
Oh, is
niece.
your mom up there with them this weekend? Oh,
Mhm. So Nikki says, "Good morning." Hey, Nikki. Um, and then Kim says, "Welcome back. We missed you."
thank
Um,
you all. There was part of me that thought people, we stopped for so long that people were going to be like, it's okay. Thanks. Welcome, everybody. Um, so to see that the response was so well received was like, they missed us. I kind of want to talk about what brought me back, actually, because it all kind of started at work where I started showing my class that I would be running some old episodes. If Jeff's on here, I showed your old episode first, and they thought it was really cool, and they kind of lit up a little bit. So then it was like, oh, like that's why I did the show for so long, was because it impacted so many people. And then it just kind of grew from there. And then after that, it seemed like people kept asking me, well, when are you coming back? I said, well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. And then Kayla Ireland, our friend of the show, had us on her show. And then it was like, oh, that was really fun to kind of do it without the pressure of it being our show. And then here we are. I was like, what about the 6th? And she said, okay.
yep.
But poor Christina is not feeling the best. So
It's all right. It's just one of those head colds, when you're on spring break and you're not around all the kids and you finally have time to rest, that's when the bugs hit. So anyway, enough about our little backstory there. I guess we should dive into why we're here today and kind of one of the topics that we want to talk about. They say that great minds think alike, and Kyle and I were kind of on the same wavelength on this one. Do you want to kind of start us out, Kyle, and give us your thoughts on that topic?
yeah, Christina, she had asked me, what do you want to do? And I was like, the mental toll, because that's really tough sometimes. Because as those of us with cerebral palsy know, it changes every day. You can have a really good cerebral palsy day where your body wants to cooperate, and then there are the days that it doesn't. And on the days that it doesn't, it's like, well, I still have to do my job. I still need to show up and be present. And
Right.
sometimes that's harder than other times. Like if I'm having a bad morning because I'm just moving slow, going into a job where you need to be on and present for the consumers that you're working with can be a challenge sometimes. It's when those are the days I have to take moments and be like, okay, like I need to go to the bathroom for a second. I need to ask somebody to come wash my room so I can leave for a second. It can be very mental, and it's not nothing they're doing. It's just like the toll of like I'm having a bad day and I can't be having one right now.
I can echo that too. I mean, like bad day or good day, I've still got sometimes a room of 28 kids who need their Spanish lesson, and I need to be on to stay on top of, any behaviors that could arise, and it can be very, very mentally taxing, living with cerebral palsy and holding a full-time job and cleaning the house, and that's not us complaining necessarily. It's just that it obviously is going to take more physical effort for us to do these things than for people that do not have cerebral palsy, and that can take a mental toll too when you feel like you have a lot of things to keep up with, and you're just physically or mentally sort of run down after a while. So,
Yeah, and one thing I was not always the best at was communicating that, hey, I'm feeling mentally drained from this. Like we have our friend group that we've mentioned many times over the years on this show, and they had basically an intervention with me and said like, "You're not okay, and what is going on? You're not talking to us. We don't know what to do." And in the beginning, I was like, "Just let me deal with it." But then I did realize talking it out, I needed to release it. Um,
mhm.
and I'm just slowly getting better about being like, hey, mental check-in here. Can I vent? Because I think for a while I got used to so many people wanting to vent to me that I just like, okay, they don't want to hear about what I have to, what I'm dealing with.
Right.
But that's a bad mindset to have. So it's working so far. Christina, you've known what's going on for a while, and I feel like I'm in a much better place now that I've talked about it and I'm more willing to talk about it and like
Oh yeah, definitely.
feel my feelings with it
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
let it go.
Um, uh, People have, tendencies to sort of bottle things up, and just push it down and pretend that it's okay, but that has, repercussions too when you finally just sort of explode. So this is our message to everybody, that if you've got something that's bothering you, it really is better to talk it out than to try to hold it in and pretend that everything's okay.
And it really can be anyone. I guess for me, like Christina is one of my main people and hit my friend Haley, but I kind of am realizing I'll just kind of talk if I can open up a conversation and talk about something that I'm dealing with, I will to who's ever willing to listen more so. I used to be very protective about who I would, and I still am. I'm not just going to talk to a random stranger, but we used to be very, very protective on who I would share the hard stuff with because of like, oh, I don't want, rumors to go around, information to spread that I don't want people to know. Um, so it was very limited on who I would share with, but it's gotten better about I have a good circle of people to talk to now. Um, I always had been. I'm just more willing to let them see the ugly side um, of everything that's been going on. But I definitely feel lighter. I don't necessarily feel so burdened by it because it wasn't my burden alone to carry in the first place. So you saw me at my heaviest.
Mhm.
We love you
Thanks,
guys.
Kim.
Oh, thanks, Kim. I know that. I've always known that, but I was stubborn.
Mhm.
I can be sometimes, I'll admit that.
I think we all can be. It's definitely a weakness of mine as well. So, but yeah.
Do you
I
think
guess.
stubbornness with CP comes from just, like, wanting to prove to people that, like, you can handle it?
Yeah, because society is going to judge. Um, they're going to judge you sometimes based on just how you look. They're going to judge you without knowing you. So by being stubborn, um, that's going to sort of help us to push through, push past some of those misconceptions that people have, and prove ourselves and say, no, I can do this. You may think I can't, but watch me. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I think it
'Cause
definitely.
so many and the doubt can take a mental toll too, and the sense of, "I need to prove to this person I can do it." I feel like I'm more in check with that now because I only have to prove it to myself, nobody else, but definitely growing up, it was like, "Oh, you don't think I can do this? Well, I need to prove it to you to show
Right.
you that you're wrong."
Mhm.
And that it's very draining when you're trying to please people in that way or show people like, "No, I am strong, I am capable."
But see, the thing is, like, as whether you have a disability or not, you have to learn to be stubborn and to do those things for yourself too. Like, because you believe in yourself, you're not just going to do them, for someone else. Um, I think I learned that in my life that, yeah, while I wanted to, please all these people that are supporting me, I need to do these things for me. I need to do them to make myself feel confident and strong, not so that someone else thinks that I'm confident or that I'm strong or that I'm awesome. Like, it
Yeah,
has to come from you. It's great to have those external motivators, but it really has to come from you if you want to get somewhere in life.
because the people that you think are the most confident might not be. So,
That's very true.
you know, why are you proving it to that person? I mean, when they are putting on a front or when they are doubting you because they doubt themselves. I mean, you have to be very self-regulatory, I'm realizing, of just like, who are you doing it for and why? Because the why is what's gonna make you successful,
Hmm.
you know? I'm exercising because I want to be mobile when I'm 60, not I'm exercising because this person says I need to lose weight. Um, I had a conversation, somebody where I was talking about body image, and I said, "I will never lose weight because somebody thinks I need to." If I'm happy where I'm at, I'm not gonna change my body just so I impress this person,
Hmm.
'cause that's dangerous. Uh, 'Cause where's their standard of being impressed? It can always change too.
Right.
So, if you're impressed with yourself, you're doing well.
Absolutely. We're talking about being stubborn. Kim has a comment here, and she says, particularly males, saying that you guys are stubborn. I don't know.
Okay, I can see that, but I think
I
that is
don't know, Kim. I
also
think we females
I
are
think
plenty stubborn ourselves. I just had to laugh.
yeah. I think male stubbornness sometimes can be based in, like, the fact that society has placed this idea that men need to be strong, they need to be the provider, they need to be tough, and when you're trying to fit those molds with living with cerebral palsy that kind of isn't those things, it's kind of the opposite. I mean, in a lot of ways, people still think those with disabilities are weak, that need to be at home, that aren't capable. So I have two worlds telling me complete opposite things. I'm
Mhm.
trying to do my best with cerebral palsy and live up to these masculine expectations. And then I thought, nah, I'll live up to what works for me because we're not all gingerbread cookies here. We're not cookie cutter, and we all have unique needs and perspectives. So I just realized, what does Kyle want and what does Kyle need? And we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's no, that's a really good point. I mean, um, the societal sort of expectations come into play too. Um, and for everybody, disability or not. Jed says, if you doubt me, I will have an attitude and I'll show you what I can do. With my CP, it doesn't stop me. Yeah, that's kind. I'm kind of the same way, Jed. I just kind of like, oh, really? Well, okay, then let me show you that I can if you think I can't. So
Yeah, it's real tough. There's a lot of pressure from society, and it's like, just let me breathe sometimes. Just
yeah,
let me be. But you have been in physical therapy for a long time now, and your CP has kind of been acting up, or it's changed how it appears by the day, it seems.
well,
And
yeah. I mean, that here's the thing. When you're stubborn, you want more for yourself, you want to do better, but also when you have CP and you work towards getting better, the CP fights back a little bit. That spasticity is always going to be there. Some of those movement patterns that you've had forever, you think are always going to be there, and if you're going to start changing some of those things, it takes an extreme amount of stubbornness and an extreme amount of patience, which, by the way, if you know me, I'm not very patient. But it takes all those things, to really work through that. And I feel like we've gone from sort of one area of my body to another, whether it be from the back pain to the I got new braces, and then it was calf pains, and then we made like four different modifications to those braces before we're like, okay, let's add an SMO now. And there was just so many changes. Sometimes it's just like, why am I doing this? But the reason why I'm doing this is for me. Like Kyle said, like I want to be mobile when I'm 80, and if I have a doctor that's behind me that's being supportive of my physical therapy, and if I have an amazing physical therapist that's willing to work with me, then I'm going to continue to be stubborn and continue to work to be better, because I know that the only thing that's going to come out of this is a better, stronger Kristina. So that's what I've kept telling myself through all of this when I, end up with COVID and then pneumonia and then bronchitis and COVID again. And I've had some nerve pains going on that have been a really weird sensation. And we've got that under control with some medication. But, through it all, I've just kept fighting to do my workouts and do what I can do to stay in shape, because I've still got a whole lineup of 5Ks waiting for me this season, and I'm might be moving a little slower, but I'm not about to give up on that hopes of a sub 60-minute 5K again. So we'll see. We'll
yeah,
see what the beginning of the season brings and go from there. The first 5K, it's always like, okay, finish the course, and we'll see what the time is, and then we sort of work from there. So
well, like the title of the episode, the comeback is always greater than the setback.
yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes when we're in the setback, we think, oh my goodness, how am I going to get past this? But I think with any setback, it's sort of a day by day thing. You do what you can do to take some small steps to get towards that bigger goal. So,
Yeah. You've always said you should take small steps, and I've realized you really do. Even the smallest of steps is a step. Like, it's like, "Oh, I organized that today. Oh, I stretched today." It's just finding those little things build to bigger things.
mhm.
It's creating better habits.
Yeah, we don't have to do everything all at once. When I started working out, I didn't start swimming and lifting weights and, all these things. It started out with going to physical therapy and then pool therapy. And then I just pretty much used the pool for a while. And then it was, oh, let me try working with a personal trainer because Trisha thought maybe I could use some arm muscle. And I was like, okay. So I started doing that and I had started walking, I guess, around the same time I started swimming. But anyway, it was just like one thing led to another. And before I knew it, I'm this gym crazy person who I don't really uh, recognize sometimes. And I still get done with the 5K and go, why do I do this to myself? I do it to myself because I like it. I'm just kind of crazy about it, is all. Signing myself up for all these, and then I think every year I've done 5Ks, I've just added one more to that roster. I'm like, "Ooh, how about this one and this one?" I can just I bet my mom is just, thrilled that I keep signing us up for all of these.
See, and by doing all this, you're showing people and defying those expectations of, like, someone with cerebral palsy isn't physically active, doesn't care about any of that, and you're the exact opposite of that.
Well, I mean, I think there was a point when I didn't take care of myself as much as I should have. But the pain that I was in from that, didn't make that worth it for me anymore. It was like, okay, obviously I needed change. And now that I've made that change, I just keep reminding myself every day that I don't want to go back to that. And that's what gets me out of bed early on a Saturday or whatever, to go to the gym, is thinking about how I don't ever want to go back to that Christina who could barely put my own shoes on without back pain because my back and my legs were so tight.
Yeah, I don't think at this point you ever could go back to that.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm
I'm
thinking
glad that it's still your motivation. I mean, and it should be, but I think you've learned and grown so much from then to right now that there's no way you could go back to that.
Oh, I mean, no, you don't just undo 4 years of taking care of yourself in like a weekend if you forget to stretch something. But still, I still just, I look back and that's my inspiration to keep going. Seeing how far I've come helps me in those moments when, like, post COVID, when I was having the nerve pains and the spasms and I was up all night and I'm going, what is going on? And it's like, okay, I've gotten through difficult things before. Like, let's take a step back and look at this. And then I decided to listen to my physical therapist and talk to my doctor. And then, one thing led to another, and we got me on some medication to sort of help all of that. So and then again, the stubbornness again, if I had not been so stubborn, I probably would have felt better a little bit sooner. But in my mind, I just wanted to make sure I was making the right decision before I jumped into taking something else every morning.
Right, well, it's so easy to just jump at the first solution or, the easiest solution, the quickest, just because when you're hurting or when you're struggling, like, you want it to be over as soon as possible, but
Right.
taking the time to be like, "Really, what are my options? What works best for me?" Even if it kind of has you sitting in the struggle longer, long term, you're better off because you explored all your options and didn't just take the
Oh
first
yeah, I
one.
wanted to make sure. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I was making the right decision. And I eventually did, start kind of weaning off that nerve pain medication until I got COVID again, and now I'm back on it for a little while. But yeah, I was stubborn for a while, and I struggled for a while, but we adjusted some other things first. And as with anything with your own health, you don't want to feel rushed into a decision. You just want to make sure that you're doing what's best for you is all. So
Christina really has been through the ringer in our off time, but I'm so proud of her for, continuing to push through. Even when she doesn't want to, she does. And that's something to be applauded.
I just wanted to highlight some comments here. Morning, Imani. It's
Good
nice to see
morning.
you. Kim says, I was really excited when I saw your show was coming back. You guys rule, and CP really does kick ass, and we conquer it every day. We are true CP warriors. That is so true. CP really can kick our butts sometimes, but
It's
we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we weren't, trying to be stubborn and fight back
well,
against that to do the best that we can. That's when it helps to be stubborn, Cindy says. Um, it just depended on what you were stubborn about at the time. Yeah, depending on what's going on, I'm stubborn about different things.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well, people will ask, like, "How do you do it?" It's like, well, because if I wanna live, the life I want to live, I kinda have to just deal with this obstacle that is cerebral palsy. I mean,
right,
it's really important to decide, well, you know, even with driving, it took me so long, but I was like, "I do want it." I was scared of it, but I said,
right,
"But I do want it," and
right,
it took 11 years of trying, but, like, we got there, and
right,
I still deal with it. There are still times when it's like, "Oh, I gotta warm the car," like, in the winter, it's like, "Oh, I gotta warm the car up because I 'cause I'm starting to tense up because it's so cold out here," like, "Let's wait a minute before we start driving." You just kinda say, "Okay," or at least I can't say for everybody, but for me, I'm like, "Okay, CP, what do you got for me today? Like, let's see what we need to deal with today. I got things to do and people to see."
right. Yeah, like you said, people ask how we did, and it's like, well, I don't really have another choice. And like our friend DJ in his shows, my CP does not define me. We have to work every day to make sure that that doesn't define us, that we don't let it stop us from doing the things that we want to do or that we need to do um, with our jobs and our careers. So, I mean, there
Well,
are
even
people
just
out there.
personal life and personal goals, you know? I always thought, "Oh, CP is gonna prevent me from living on my own." Well, now here I am living on my own. Um, it's just at the time, it's so easy to be like, "It's never gonna happen," but you just have to keep going at it, keep working at it, and as long as you're working at it, progress will be made, and you'll surprise yourself.
Right. And I think having the right support system matters too. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
if there may be people in your family who are helping you, but if there are people in your family or friends who are telling you you can't or you shouldn't, and if they're limiting you, um, that can be very difficult. And um I think at that point it can be time to maybe ask yourself, are there other options for me? Or are there other ways? Continue to look for ways to be independent. Don't let um, people in your lives limit you. Don't let those assumptions be true. There's always ways that we can slowly become more independent. Sometimes it's just about being creative in how we do that.
Right. Even doctors, though, I mean, they can tell you this might not happen, but that's not set in stone. I mean, it's important to listen to doctors, of course, but they don't know what you're truly capable of until you try it. So
Cindy says people are always asking me how I can be happy about what I am going through. I just told them I'd rather be happy than sad all the time. Yeah.
you're right, Cindy. I used to be that way. I used to be sad. Internally, I would struggle with, well, I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't because I have parents that love me. I have a sibling that loves me. I have friends. But I was so caught up in the fact that what CP was limiting me, taking away from me, so to speak, that I was sad. And then I thought, no, like, yes, it is a struggle, but I can do more than what I think I can. It was a process to get there, but
Yeah, for
you
sure.
can be happy with cerebral palsy.
Jed says, my life goal is to be independent with CP and do the things people with two hands can do.
Yeah. What does independence looks different for everyone. I don't want to be saying that there's one specific way to be independent. There's a consumer at work that's like, I really need to get rid of my walker to be independent. And I said, but isn't it giving you independence by giving you the ability to move around and um, be here to work? And I stumped them when and they were kinda like, "Yeah, that's true." They didn't see independence as walking with a walker, they saw it as, "I need to be free of all mobility aids," which is where I used to be too. So
Yeah.
I understood that, like, independence meant that I was free from any type of aid, cane, walker, wheelchair.
I mean, no, but see, I was the same way, but that's not how it goes. Independence is independence um with those mobility aids. Those are the things that allow us to be independent, to go places, on our own, or to reach for things on our own. I mean, to pick things up off the floor, to stand up and cook dinner on our own. I mean, all of those mobility aids are part of independence, and it also took me a while to figure that out. Like, I'm not ashamed of having lost strands now. I'd rather have crutches than be falling on my face all the time, because Lord knows I did that enough with them for a while. So I don't need to be trying to be, superwoman over here without them. That would just make it worse. um
Yeah, and mobility aids can relieve some of the mental toll of CP because
because you're
they're
safe.
making it easier on yourself.
Right, you're literally making it easier on your body, and you're making it safer for yourself, to get around. So, yeah.
It's a big thing it was a big thing for me to learn, but it was like, I finally I'm at a good place with my crutches, and I don't hate them, and, now I'm just they're a part of me, just like cerebral palsy is a part of
Right,
me. It's not all
right,
of me. Um, it's visible, so everyone sees it, but once they get to know me, they'll see it. Like DJ says, cerebral palsy does not define me.
right.
But while we're here, I want to ask those viewers, what topics would you like us to cover in future episodes? Now that we're kind of getting back into the swing of things, I would just love to know what topics you want to hear from us, even if it's a topic we use the time that we. So I'd be curious to know what you want to see.
Yeah, it is interesting coming back after so long away. There are definitely still things that we can talk about, but I haven't thought too far ahead on topics. Um,
Neither have I. That's why I was like, well, maybe they could give us some ideas. Oh, I see we have a comment from DJ.
All right. It's not so much about being independent, it's about coming to acceptance about how you have to be independent and what equipment it takes to help you. When you stop looking at the equipment as a hindrance and realize that it's there for you, um, on your independence journey, you will accept what you have to do, and you have to accept yourself in your own journey also. Very, very true. It's definitely about accepting yourself, and accepting the help of those mobility aids, in order to, continue to be independent.
And acceptance can really shorten the journey. Sometimes things can feel really big and it's gonna take a long time, and then you realize, "Okay, this is what I need to do." And then you realize the journey from here to there wasn't as long as you thought it was.
Very true.
Because even, like, physical therapy, and I shouldn't have based it off of your experience, but when I went back thinking I was gonna be in there for a long, long, long time, and then 4 months later, they were like, "Okay, you will probably need to see us again at some point, but for now, we're done." And I was like, "Oh, we're done?" I mean, I'm grateful I had that 4 months in there because it really did a lot for me, but it did surprise me that it was like, "Oh, that's the end of this portion of the journey?"
Everyone's experience is unique, and it can be easier for us to sort of compare our journey with others. But again, your journey is your journey, and so I would just encourage everybody out there, disability or not, try not to judge your own successes based on where everybody else is in life, because disability or not, there's no timetable for a lot of these things. Even though we may feel that society expects us to be here by this age and doing this by this age, it's just everybody's on their own journey. So try not to limit yourself by comparing yourself to others.
And that kind of adds to the mental toll of CP
Oh,
by
absolutely. Because
comparing to others, because then you're like, "Well, why am I not there where they are? I should just work harder."
right. Well, I
Well,
mean,
I'm not
we can do that. We can look to other people for inspiration, but we also have to make sure we're being safe about things if we're going to try to make some changes.
right. If you're already giving 100%, you can't give your 200% is not real. Like, if you're doing the best you can right then that's all you can do.
Right.
Maybe it does involve changing, the exercise plan, but if you're trying your best and you're where you're at and you're trying to get somewhere that feels impossible, just stay just keep working at where you're at and then ask, is there something different I can be doing from a professional, like a physical therapist, your
Uh-huh.
doctor, the person who makes your braces? Ask those people, okay, I see this person over there and I'm here. Is there a path to where they are? And they can help guide you along the way. Don't force being hurt with CP doesn't, you know, then you have to recover from that.
Yeah, some of us are a little bit accident slash injury prone. So pointing to myself here. Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
gotta be careful.
you've had a few incidents. Thankfully, you've been relatively okay, relatively speaking, like nothing too
Yeah.
serious.
I mean, some bumps and bruises, and I did think I broke a finger once, and then come to find out it was just a really deep bruise. But
Oh, I remember that.
knock
Mhm.
on some wood, that was, yeah, that was it. So
Poor classmate.
I still haven't gotten that thing resized. I was so scarred from them cutting it off my finger. They had to, I, to, I guess, give our viewers the full story. I was walking with some things in my hand and I fell on top of my finger, and it was my um, ring finger that I had my class ring on. And so by the time I got to my car and kind of dusted it off, it's like, okay, I'm fine. And I just looked down at my hand and it was purple, and I was like, oh no. So what do? You call your mom crying and tell her that your finger is purple because you fell on it. They had to take me to the prompt. My mom took me to prompt care, and they had to cut the ring off, but their mechanical one was broken. So this little nurse that was no bigger than me was using a hand crank to try to break my class ring off, and I'm over here like, "You're gonna break my finger along with the ring!" Like it was kind of a scary experience for me. So yeah, that finger still isn't right, by the way. I mean, it's still just a little bit puffier than the rest of them. So fun times, fun times.
Not fun in the moment for sure, but I see we have a comment from Kim and Jet.
Kim says I used to walk all the time, but as I got older, I realized I need my mobile chair to go further. But if I want to succeed in life and go where I need to go, this chair helps me a lot, and I'm glad that I have it. See, that's the acceptance that DJ was talking about right there. Um, um, being able to accept the mobility tools that you need as supports to you, and knowing that they help you be independent, not just seeing them as a hindrance, or something that you need to get rid of.
And Jet says the outlook of CP is different. The outlook of CP is different for people with CP.
Well, I think when you have CP, it does give you sort of a different outlook on life. But we have goals and dreams just like everybody else, and because we have CP, you know, we're not going to be over here judging other people with disabilities, telling them, well, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. We have definitely a different perspective because we have a disability. I think that makes us more understanding of others.
Right. That's what I love about where I work is, I work with those with disabilities. So they're like, what I'm going does help in building that trust and camaraderie, um, and just ability to talk with them about what they're going through.
Hmm. Kim says CP stands for cool people. Well, I mean, I suppose it can. It's better than the alternative that some websites think that CP stands for, which I won't get
The
into that.
illegal kind.
Yeah, we'll get into that too much here, but I promise you all, CP in the CP Chronicles stands for Cerebral Palsy. Um,
And that's all it will ever stand for. And
yep,
maybe cool people. The cool people, cool. We can add that. But nothing bad, nothing negative
yeah.
related to the abbreviation.
The Cool People Chronicles. I like it.
Yes, I do. That would be a really cool name for a show. But are there any questions you guys want to ask us about what we've been up to in these last 2 years before we end the show? I'm trying to think. I did finally become a qualified intellectual disabilities professional, QIDP, case manager now at work. It's been a little over a year. It was February of 2022 where I officially stepped into the role. I believe when we were still doing the show, I was working towards that. Um,
Uh-huh.
and now I'm officially in the role, and I am officially managing cases. Uh, that's been a new experience. It's been a tough experience because I've never done it before. I'm not, I was kind of starting from scratch and asking for help a lot, and I still am. Like, I definitely don't feel like I'm super great at it, but I've definitely gotten better and building my confidence with it, and I know I will get there. At first, when I started, I thought, "Oh, this is, like, too much for me," and I think that's just because I was scared of it. It's something new, and, I'm definitely, in the thick of it still, but definitely can see, like, hey, I'm going to be a good cube. So, that's my big update with work.
Yeah, I mean, I finished a master's degree in the last couple of years, so I don't think I had finished at the time of our last show. So that's all that's really new with
I
me. So
wondered that. I wasn't sure when you finished your
I
master's.
yeah, I don't think I had quite finished when we did our last show because I didn't defend until June, um, right after school. School got out and everything. So yep, it seems like it was forever ago now, but it was 2 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting there just like sweating in my seat, like, oh, I can't wait to get this over with. Sitting in front of a panel of PhD professors.
Yeah. She's still that bilingual badass that you remember.
Oh, thanks. I try. I try.
And you've been to Spain between
Since
then and
then,
now.
yeah, I just went back last July, I guess it was. Came back with a little COVID, but still got through the vacation. Thank the Lord. Didn't get sick till after I got home.
Yeah,
So,
it was, like, right after you got home
yeah,
too.
yep. One of my friends said, Spain and you just really do not mix. And I looked at her like, what? It's like, well, yeah, I guess it doesn't because every time we try to go, somebody gets sick.
Yeah.
It's been a
Oh,
crazy 2 years, but I'm really glad that we're able to come back and give you all an update. And we can't tell you how much it means to us to have all of you, jumping on and being here with us live through the comments. It really, really means a lot. To know that even after 2 years of hiatus, we have this group of people still behind us, supporting us means so much.
I love all of you guys, and I thank you for being here on our first show.
So remember to keep
Keep
on
living
laughing.
and succeeding, and we will see you in the next one, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.